this week's episode, we embark on an epic journey to Big Sky Country, Montana.
Our flight from Toronto to Denver was delayed just enough so that we miss our connector flight in Denver. So now what we've got to do is spend a night in Denver, fly out tomorrow. We're on a waiting list, standby list for a flight at 11 a.m. If we don't get that one, we have one at 7 p.m. So we miss a day pretty much no matter how we look at it in the camp. So once we get there, we'll get positioned. We'll just have to hunt all that much harder and work harder at getting our animals, and we'll just try and bring everything to you. We'll take it as it comes.
After a rough landing in Denver and an unexpected overnight stay, we were back in the air and bound for Billings.
Well, we made it onto the standby flight that we talked about for 11:23. Folks kind of hustled and got us on here. Got a couple of seats, so we're on our way to Billings. See the cattle yards down there?
Oh my God, that's cool.
That's true Western there.
Well, we just landed in Billings, Montana, and so we're just gonna try and reschedule our rental car. Hopefully, again, fingers crossed, pick up our luggage. If everything shows up and we get back on the road here, we should be at Deep in the Bush Adventures in the next, I'm going to say, 2 hours.
Well, we're just pulling off the exit to Forsyth. We're about maybe 3 miles from the ranch, so we're looking pretty good now. Won't be long. We might be in a blind this evening.
We arrived at the ranch and quickly prepared for our first evening's hunt. We set up and settled in.
Well, as you can see, we've made it to our blind. We lost a half day with all the flight delays and things like that. Not a total disaster by any stretch of the imagination. So we're hoping, we're optimistic. We've seen a whole bunch of antelope just on the way through here to get to this blind. So I'm hoping that a good herd that we saw over the hill will make its way into the water hole here. He's got a really nice big water hole here that they're hitting it pretty hard, it looks like. There's a blind at the other end, but he said they always seem to come to this blind. And there's been mule deer spotted at this blind as well. So if everything goes well, maybe we'll kill our antelope tonight. We'll have a week to spot and stalk mule deer.
A group of mule deer does ventured in to quench their afternoon thirst. They were wary of predators, knowing that they weren't the only ones who used this water hole.
He's coming towards the water hole. Yep. We got him. Oh yeah, there he is.
They sensed that they were not alone and left just in time to avoid a coyote who was also in need of a drink. A short time later, an antelope doe slipped in to drink and nibble on the only lush green forbs to be found on an otherwise dry sage flat. Closed captioning in today's episode is brought to you by CANUCK. Just to recap, we made it into camp, and we took a few shots with the bow to make sure our equipment was on, nothing was damaged or banged out of place, and then we headed out to a blind. We got in a blind on a watering hole, and we were only there maybe an hour, dropped off an hour before, and had 4 muley does come in there, nice big ones, hung around there and drank, and then they left. A coyote came in. I think that's kind of why they left. They might have been bumped a little bit by the coyote because it kept looking up in his direction. Then when he vacated the premises, then a couple of antelope does came in. And as soon as they got in position, you know, had their drink and kind of calmed down a little bit, and they left. And then things got dark and quiet. There's quite a few animals coming to that water hole. We're going to go out there first thing tomorrow morning, and we're going to get into that blind in the pitch black dark and just wait them out. And hopefully something will come in there with antlers on it that we want to shoot, and we'll take a crack at it, see how things go.
So Jeff just texted me, and he said that he saw 6 antelope running around, a buck and 5 does running around out behind the blind here, about 350 yards from the blind. He figures they're going to drink here by 5:30, so that's the bet.
A lone doe snuck in for a drink and left without incident.
So yesterday was pretty uneventful. We sat for 15 grueling hours in 90-degree temperatures, and didn't see anything until the very end. And just before dark, one lone mule deer doe came in and drank. But we're in a different blind this morning on a different water hole, and we've already seen 4 antelope on the horizon right at daybreak. So we're optimistic we're going to get quiet, and hopefully they're going to come in and give us a chance.
Day 5 in the blind was promising to be another scorcher. Today's the day, buddy.
Well, let's get her done.
Today's the day. On day 6, we decided to switch it up a little. We'd start the day with some spot and stalk hunting just to see what we could see. We left a lot of boot leather on that dry eastern Montana plain, and we saw a lot of game, but we thought our best bet was to climb back into a blind for the afternoon hunt.
This portion of today's episode is brought to you by BERGARA. Our barrels make the difference. The goats would have to drink sooner or later, and we were hoping that that afternoon was the one. We sat in a blind overlooking an old stock tank, but once again, no luck. The next morning found us in one of the most interesting spots on the ranch. It's an old turn-of-the-century timber shack that backs onto a series of bluffs where the deer and antelope bed during the heat of the day, then come down in the evening cool to feed on the grassy sage flats.
Okay, we're back in the shack and put some Monette Outdoors pheromone, mule deer pheromone on the post behind me, as you see. I'm hoping that that's enough to just make one of the bucks just hesitate. That's all we need. All we need is for him to stop there or stop near there where I can get a poke at him. So it's our last day. We're down to the wire. We've had all kinds of hard luck. We've had animals close, as you've seen, but we haven't been able to put it together. Just not close enough, and I don't want to make an unethical shot, so we've kind of held off. We're hoping that today is going to be the day. We're going we're up an hour earlier because we're driving an hour to another ranch we haven't hunted yet, and we're hoping we're having, we're holding out hope here so that we're going to have some success. But it's been tough. Just got into this new field. Jeff's setting up a blind. Right next, we're taking the blind and tucking it right in tight to a big round bale of hay. And there's a goat up there, and more going along the fence line over here. This place is full of them. We seen a bunch coming in. So this may just work out pretty good.
With the decoy all set up and us settled in the blind, it seemed like no time when we noticed this big guy giving our decoy the once over.
He's coming down the fence line. He's gonna see this decoy because that herd's right in between them. Oh yeah, he sees the decoy. He's coming, he's coming. Okay.
This portion of today's episode is brought to you by PSE Archery.
stay on him. He's gonna go down right there.
I'm on him.
He's gonna go down right there. Oh, maybe not. I know I killed him. I got him right through the lungs.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, go down right there. Go down right by the fence. Right by the fence. Go down, buddy. Go down.
In the excitement of the moment, I failed to realize that the buck was slightly quartered towards me, so the exit wound was a little further back than what I would have liked, but still a very lethal shot.
His head's bobbing.
Is it?
Yeah, like back and forth. He's laying down.
He's down. Oh, man. Man. Like Stan Potts says, give me a second. This is the last day of our hunt. We have busted our humps to get this animal. We've had every kind of hard luck story you can think of, right from plane being delayed and being held overnight in Denver. We get on the shuttle bus in Denver and it breaks down halfway to the airport. I mean, it just one thing after another, the weather and this and that and the other thing. We've been so close so many times. So now this guy, a young upstart, he come in and he had one doe he was following. She joined the herd with the big one, and then he just kind of, wandered off on his own. When he was walking by, he was watching the herd, and just as fate would have it, the herd got so that in a position so that my decoy was between him and the herd, so he couldn't help but notice her. So didn't he come walking right over? When he did, I wasn't gonna let him spook at the decoy or nothing. When he got close to it, I let him have it. So I'm really happy. I know he's a pretty good buck. He might not be a world record or anything, but I'm really, really happy to have him.
He's right around here somewhere. Here. Died on the road. He died on the road. Jeff could pull right up to him. We'll throw him in the back. With our 11th hour antelope in the bag, it was time to think about our last ditch mule deer. We had a plan. We would take a couple of tree stands and hang them in the ponderosa pines where a long draw spilled out of the high bluffs near the shack. I'd watched a particularly tall buck there many times over the last 2 years' hunts. And just like that, our whole hunt had come down to one action-packed day. Okay, well, we made it to the Billings Airport. We're about to start the final leg of our big journey here, our Odyssey. We went out last night in the last hour of the last day. And again, that's not for drama. We managed to shoot a beautiful big mule deer, as you saw. Taking them home. So couldn't be more happy. I mean, things really turned around the last day. I mean, that goes to show you, folks, don't give up until the last minute of the last day, because it takes seconds and it can all turn around. So we're really happy. Everything went well. Hope you folks enjoyed the show and the hunt. I really enjoyed bringing it to you, that's for sure. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time for more exciting hunting action on Anthony Dixon's Line of Sight.